Hey rats, you ready for a ratitude check? Because I am. Actually, it's not even, it's like a in hindsight ratitude check. We're checking in on my ratitude on my wedding day. I did a Q&A on my Instagram and I was like, what are your questions? Ask me anything about the wedding. And there are some juicy questions in here. You guys did not disappoint with it, so let's get into it. I'm gonna be brutally honest, as I always am. Okay, so something 100% worth the money. I would say all the makeup I bought trying to do my own makeup on my wedding day, because it was a lot. I probably spent $300 in makeup to do my own makeup on my wedding day, which I know, relax, it's okay. That is probably the cost of a makeup artist. I was gonna say a lower end makeup artist because I've been seeing TikToks and stuff where people are saying like their makeup artist is like $600. Like, holy. But I know that there are some that would do it for like 300. I'm sure you could find someone for 150. Like, you know, blah, 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 blah. But the reason I think that's 100% worth the money is because I learned so many skills. I will never regret that. That was so worth it. And then on top of that, I now just own really nice makeup. And that's been really fun. Like, girl math, like when you have a makeup artist, they do a great job. I love makeup artists. It's nothing against them. It was obviously just like my own choice to do my own makeup because I like to be in control and I like to look like myself. And I was really scared I wouldn't look like myself. And I'm really glad I went that route because I think I would have been upset. But now I get to keep all that makeup. So I get to keep all that. Like that, so that $300 is going to last me more than one day. It's gonna last me years, you know, like it's just that was a great investment and I have no regrets on that. I essentially just moved the budget for a makeup artist into learning it myself and owning these things myself, because that's still a lot of money. But also, side note, from my bridal shower, I got a lot of Sephora gift cards. So that's how I bought a lot of it, which was really nice. What was my biggest compromise? The wedding, having 100 people at my wedding. I wanted to elope. I wanted either like to elope or do a backyard wedding. Now that I know what I know now, elope would have been best, like 10 people. In my mind earlier, I was like, you know, if we rewind like 8 months, I was saying to Zach, like, I think like 20 to 30 people is ideal. And he was like, ooh, I think 100's ideal. And I was like, oh my God, right? So that was the biggest compromise because Zach did think he was okay with eloping. Like it was a bit of we went back and forth for 2 months. We really like had a lot of conversations about it because like I don't want him regretting his wedding day. Also, like, can we ignore my hair right now? Like it's just very 70s. Like these curls they're curling. But yeah, we went back and forth with it a lot. And for a while there, Zach was like, okay, let's elope, let's do that. But then his family didn't want that. So then there's that added like pressure and like I don't want to upset anybody. And so at the end of the day, once we had all the facts, it was like, okay, like let's do the 100-person wedding because we didn't want to upset anybody. But at the end of the day, Zach was really cool with eloping. But that would have been him compromising, but he was really cool with it. And for a while there, we were just gonna elope until we found out that it would be upsetting to like family members. And then we like chatted about it again. So we were gonna elope, which was gonna be great. And then we weren't. And then so I decided, okay, how do I make not eloping great? And that was the new journey, but that was definitely like the biggest compromise. How was your blood sugar on your wedding day? Were there any lows? So in the morning, my blood sugars went really high. I did have a failed site launch. For some reason, I just was not getting insulin into my new site, but luckily I had remembered to leave on my old site that was working, so I managed to clip into that, even though she was barely hanging on for life. So we texted Zach and he brought another one from home just in case it like ripped off at the wedding. Yikes. So I did have a high and I did have a low. I had a low midday after photos. Like I was outside in the courtyard with the girls and we were taking photos and then my Dexcom started alerting me to a low. So I was like, okay, I gotta stop, like, because I was like really scared to get like a big crashing low that would like zap my energy for like the rest of the day. So we quickly went back inside and then the boys went out and took their photos. So it worked out. It was fine. I ate a bunch of crackers. Life was okay. It was okay. It was just a bit of a dip in the day. And then from then on, I was pretty good. Like, and I did this thing where I don't think this is very recommended, but I significantly gave myself insulin. Like I really underdid it during the dinner. Like I had pasta. I think I maybe bolused for like 25 grams of carbs and pasta alone is probably 45. And then there was potatoes and then there was dessert. But I only gave myself that 25 units because I knew I wanted to dance for 4 hours after that. So I knew the numbers would like come down and stabilize. and they did, and it just worked out. It was like a miracle concoction. You know, sometimes you pull that off with your diabetes. So yeah, it was just one of those things. But yep, I had an extreme high and I had a almost extreme low, but we caught it. So that was good. And my recommendation is to just, what I did is I asked my dad to carry my glucose for me. And then I also had some in my own like bridal bag, just so that there was like glucose all around, just in case for things. And then I underdid it on the insulin because I just thought that would be a safer decision for the day, obviously. Even though high glucose is bad too, that was just like the decision that I kind of went with. Is spending lots on a wedding dress worth it? So it's a great question. I don't know what you consider lots. So let's say for this argument, because money is very personal, right? What's a lot to you might not be a lot to me, but what's a lot to me might not be a lot to you. My dress was a lot to me, but in terms of say yes to the dress standards, it was nowhere near a lot. My budget, I don't think I even could have gone to Kleinfeld's with my bridal budget, but to me, it was still a lot of money to spend on a dress you're wearing for one day. So like, yeah, it seems like a lot. I don't think spending a lot on your wedding dress is worth it. So like, again, if we like work with this in terms of like the hypothetical or the understanding that a lot would be something that would be like uncomfortable and difficult for you to pay for, I don't think you should do that. No. I think it should be comfortably within your budget because you do just wear it once. You really just wear it once, and the alterations can really add up. My alterations were like so much money on top of the dress. It was like, what a bummer, right? Like it was like hundreds after that. It's like, oh, okay, ouch. So I don't think it's worth it. I do think it's worth it to find a dress you feel comfortable in, but I do think you can do that on a budget. I really do. I really think that. There are secondhand bridal stores all over the place. Get a dress off of Facebook Marketplace. I think that's such a more comfortable route than going outside of your means to pay for a dress you're only wearing once. But that's me personally, because I think you do want to feel comfortable in your dress. I would definitely prioritize that. Like, you do want to feel beautiful. You do want to like slay the day in this dress. But if this dress is a financial burden to you, you're not going to have good energy with her anyways, right? So I think if you can find a happy medium, just keep looking until you find the dress. I personally wouldn't try on dresses outside of my budget. I just wouldn't do that to myself. Like, that's just sad, because when I tried on my dress, I told the lady my budget. I was like, I don't want to try anything above this budget. And luckily, I went to a store that was like in the middle of nowhere, so it was like much cheaper. Life hack. Like, I did not buy one in Toronto. They were like so overpriced here. So I went to the middle of nowhere, Ontario to get mine, and it was really easy to just try on dresses within my budget, and I just didn't try on dresses that were not in my budget because, yeah, I think if I had cried liking a dress, I don't know, why do that to yourself? Why do that to yourself? Just stay within your budget. You will eventually find one. And if you don't, consider, like I said, these secondhand stores that have like, okay, like fancy dancy bridal dresses, but at a reduced price because somebody loved them already. I think that's totally fine. Man, I feel like these podcast episodes aren't that interesting. I don't know, because it's like it's about wedding, and I get in like a depressed state, and I find I'm like the least funny person when I'm talking about my wedding because I get low energy when I talk about weddings. But I do enjoy answering these questions, and I'm happy to share. And I know a lot of us are rat brides, future rat brides, or just rat humans in general, and like hearing the rat takes on life because you're going through it as well. So I do appreciate that. What part did not make me anxious on my wedding day? That's a great question. Oh, getting you ready in the morning didn't make me anxious. I love getting ready. I love getting ready for big things, big events. I think that's really fun. So I wasn't anxious in the morning. Aside from timing, that got stressful. But in terms of like, I don't know, like all the girly stuff in the morning, that was like really fun. That was, all that fun stuff in the morning was the best. Did you like the wedding more than you thought? So this is a deep one. I haven't fully unpacked it in my mind yet. I did not like the wedding more than I thought. That almost made me cry because it's just like still sad to me. But I liked it as much as I thought I would like it. Like I said, I'm a very like analytical rat. Like, I've thought about things from every angle. And that's why I think I was so emotional before going into the wedding, because I knew it wasn't going to be my dream wedding. I knew no matter what I did, this wedding was not going to be my dream. Apartment wedding was better than I could ever have imagined, but I knew it was going to be awesome, but I didn't realize apartment wedding was going to be like better than I could have ever imagined. So I'm really glad I did that so that I had that memory, and that's a big part of why I did apartment wedding, so that I could have this really happy wedding memory. And obviously my wedding day was a happy day in my life, but I was saying to my sister the other day, like, when I sat with her on her wedding day, and I sat beside her right at the thing, and like, anytime I tried speaking to her, she was like out to lunch. Like, she was in La La Land. She was in the clouds. She was on cloud 9. It was like the most beautiful thing to see. On my wedding day, I kind of hoped I would reach that. And I didn't. I was still very me. And I think it's just because it was just a day that wasn't going to be able to let me get to like a euphoric state, because there was so much in the day I found with, I was like, but I liked my wedding day a lot, and it could not have gone more perfectly that day. There was things that went wrong, but at the end of the day, like, it couldn't have gone better. It just wasn't. I just had hoped I had hoped I would have liked it more than I thought, but no, I was very on par with what I thought I would like it at, and I liked it at that. And it was a 10 out of 10 day as far as days go, but in my heart there was only like small moments that were like 10 out of 10 moments, and those were the ones when I was alone. So like with Zach, or like alone with my family, or alone with my friends. It was never anything to do with the wedding. It was just the same joy I would have gotten on an elopement. So it kind of makes me sad, because I know if the whole thing had been an elopement, I would have been on cloud 9 like the whole day, How to make a seating chart without screaming. Okay, I'm just gonna be a biatch for a second. They're adults. They can get over it. Like, seriously, that's how you not scream. I want you to get mad. I want you to enter a pissed off state. I want you to think about whatever adult would potentially cause you drama and think you're so dumb. You're so stupid. No. I want you to get there, and then you'll be able to make a seating chart without screaming. Because we had to put a couple people, no one was dumb, and no, I didn't think there was going to be drama. That's why I said that. If there's someone that you're thinking of that's going to cause you drama, I'm sorry for you on that. Everyone that came to our wedding were lovely people. But yeah, making a seating chart is tough, because it's like, yeah, some people did have to just straight up sit with strangers, and that is hard to navigate and hard to choose who you're going to do that to. Okay, I get that. And we had to do that. And luckily I didn't have to have any negative feelings. That was just my advice for you, by the way. Like, no one at my wedding was like this, but we did have to do that to a couple people. And I just said to Zach, we're just going to put them with the nicest humans we can, and they're going to have a great night getting to know those very nice humans, okay? And, trying to keep people within age range if you can, like, so that it's like, it's easier for them to have conversations all night. But I'm sure there was a couple people who just, unfortunately ended up at a table they would have rather not been at. That's just life, though. And so if you're thinking someone's going to cause you drama, you just have to think how silly they are, because obviously someone's got to be there, okay? And obviously you're going to prioritize who you need to prioritize family-wise, right? How I decided a wedding was something I was okay with. This is a really interesting question, and a really great question, because yeah, I really wasn't okay with it. As we can hear me talk about the wedding, like, right? Like, we hear it, I decided I was okay with it, though, because of a couple of reasons. And number one, and the main reason, was knowing that Zach would really love this day. That made it a lot easier. That made, like, that this could be an amazing gift I give him. Because alternatively, if we eloped, that would be an amazing gift he gave me. So it was very like net zero. Someone was going to get an amazing gift, and the other person was going to give it. So it always felt really positive in that sense. Another thing was just that knowing that family is always happy to celebrate in the big way for you. Like they've been a part of this journey, and they're excited to like be there at the wedding. Like, that's nice, providing them that. This one's kind of a quirky one, if I do say so myself, but all the 90s nostalgia of it all, the 80s nostalgia of it all, the 50s nostalgia of it all, the 40s, like, people have been having weddings for centuries, and it's like this shared experience that people have with their community when they love someone. So like, buying into that, I never thought was like overly ugly. Though it wasn't something that suited me very well, I could very much appreciate how beautiful this tradition is. And so I just leaned into that, and I would, like really try to appreciate those moments that felt like the 90s movies like I grew up watching, or the 2000s movies, or the 80s movies, like Runaway Bride and all these things, like silly bridal showers. I loved that. I leaned into that so hard. Like women supporting women. I loved that so much. So there was a lot to lean into that was like, felt very like historic, like not historic, but just like it felt very like deep to be going down a path that hundreds of millions have gone down throughout time. So again, that didn't feel ugly. So those are the things I really leaned into, like knowing it was a gift for Zach, and knowing it was this like wonderful experience that a lot of people choose to have, and it was an adventure. So that's how I got my head around it. Didn't always work for me, and I had to work hard to keep my head in a happy space with this, as you guys know, but those were the things that made it okay to make that decision at the end of the day. Any regret? I regret not starting at 6 a.m. Even though my dad, I swear to God, I blame Jim Efford so hard. Even though my dad totally messed that up, because I was like, I think we have to start at like 6:30, and he's like, oh, Taylor, you can't ask people to do that. And I'm like, oh my God, you're right, Dad, I can't ask people to do that. We ran out of time on the makeup, so for the girls. So like that was like a stressful point in the day. I didn't really get stressed out by it, because it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's happening, it's here, like whatever. But at the end of the day, I do regret missing out on more photo time with Zach in different locations, even though that's like a shallow regret, so I can't really regret it because it's like kind of just silly, but like, yeah, that was a regret. I also, if we want to get deep, and maybe you're really trying to ask me deeper than starting at 6 a.m. regret, I do regret doing a big wedding. I do. If I could go back in time, I would go back and say to Zach, unfortunately, I think you have to give this gift to me, because I'm going to be seriously struggling for the next 9 months. And one day of your life is not worth being in a bad place for 9 months if you could avoid that. So yes, I regret at the end of the day not eloping. And especially too, after seeing Zach after the wedding, like I know he would have been fine eloping as well, because he really loved apartment wedding. And though it was a great day, we really lucked out with it being like a great day. It was a great day. I don't regret like how the day unfolded. I more so regret being really torn up inside for 9 months of my life. Like that was not fun. How to optimize budget. Cut flowers. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. That's one of the first things I was like, whoa, these are so expensive. I think they're super unnecessary. I love flowers. If you have the budget for flowers, I think that's amazing. I love them. But when you're making cuts in the budget, that is a huge one you can cut. That's like a huge one that you can cut. So I would cut florals. Candles end up costing a decent amount. But if you can have open flame, they end up being significantly cheaper than florals and like greenery. And if candles are even, like your centerpieces, essentially, I think that's where you can make the biggest cut. I really think centerpieces, F them. They're so stupid. If I went to a wedding and there was nothing in front of me, I'd be fine with that. Like what human wouldn't be fine with a bare-ass table, right? And you won't have a bare-ass table, and maybe you will. And that's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I just got so scared by a sound in my house. Okay. A little bit of wind walking through the apartment. But yeah, nobody cares about your centerpieces, so I would just cut them right off the bat. Okay, what's the cheapest thing I can do that's gonna be fun, spark joy, and cute as a something? That is what I would do. I just think they're so dumb. I have so many ideas for them too, like because centerpieces, I'm like, this is so dumb. Great if you have the budget for beautiful centerpieces. That's lovely. I love a beautiful tablescape, but it's just at the end of the day, like really unnecessary, because it does not add to the wedding whatsoever. It doesn't. It's barely in the photos. Like they'll maybe take like a photo of like a place seating. Cool. But you'll have a place. You'll have a plate and cutlery and a wine glass and a name card, a nameplate. Put a freaking ribbon on the wine glass. Those are super cheap. You can get that. You can get so much ribbon at the dollar store. That's what we did. Costs like nothing. Costs like $8 to do 100 wine glasses with ribbon. Looked really cute. There you go. You did something, right? I would. That's where I would cut. Tips for type 1 diabetic brides: absolutely. Have 2 sites on your body and have an extra one in your bag. I'd have an extra Dexcom in your bag too. I did have an extra Dexcom, and I had my finger poker kit. So I would have all things prepared. I would tell who you need to tell. I would designate responsible people for you. So for example, I used my dad, I used my mom as like designated people. I told my dad to carry my candy. I told my mom to check in with me every hour. What is your blood sugar? Because I was going to forget. Like I was going to like be caught up in some wedding thing and forget to like check. So she was on that duty. He was on holding the glucose. It was amazing. Lean on your community. Give them clear instructions. Things I didn't mind cutting from the budget. Pretty much everything. I didn't mind cutting anything. I almost didn't get my hair done, okay? And it was like kind of expensive, like getting my hair done. Like it was, right? Because I had to pay for her travel to Toronto and I paid for her services, which I'm happy to do. I didn't want to ever like undercut anyone's budget on that. Like charge what you need to charge. Absolutely. I was never going to like do that. That's why I was going to just do it myself, you know? But I don't regret it. But like, even, I'm just saying, like, even to an extreme of like my physical appearance, I was ready to cut the budget at all corners. So I didn't have like much issue with cutting things. Zach and I kind of just had like this strategy of like, we'd enter like a section and be like, okay, great, how can we make as many budget cuts here as we can until we felt good about things, and we distilled it and distilled it and distilled it until we felt good about things. And that's how we just dealt with budget cuts, and they didn't bother me whatsoever. They only ever made me happier. It only ever made me happier to figure out I was using less money than I needed to. What did you enjoy? Something positive. That would be nice, wouldn't it, if you said something positive, Taylor? I enjoyed the life event of it all. I really enjoyed like the quiet moments I took with myself and was like, you're getting married. Like that makes me like tear up almost now. Like those little thoughts, like even when I went to go get my bridal nails, which are almost gone, I'm so sad. I had to like kind of decapitate the rat the other day and file it down. But I always tried to just take a beat and go like, you're getting your bridal nails right now because you're marrying the love of your life. Like those moments I really enjoyed, and you get that whether you elope or not. Like those little moments, like you're buying the cake ingredients for when you marry the man of your dreams, blah 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 blah. You know, like I really enjoyed those quiet moments, and I really enjoyed the 15 minutes Zach and I had alone after we got married. That was just so joyous. I really enjoyed the morning with my family getting ready. That was incredible. I loved that morning. That was the best morning of my life. Like that was the best morning of my life. I really enjoyed weirdly signing the document. That was my favorite part of the ceremony, was like when I got to sit beside Zach and we're both just like so giddy and you get to officially sign this. That felt so real. I really enjoyed that. And it felt really private because there was like the groomsmen were like in front of us so nobody could see us. Basically anytime I felt bubbled and alone, I was like really happy. So there was like a lot of great things. I could go on. Like the day went super, 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 super well. I could go on. I really enjoyed dancing at my wedding. Like I said, that was the one time when I finally enjoyed the fact that there was 100 people there, because I really liked dancing with all the people in my life. That was incredible. I loved that. My cousin actually like played a specific song for me, which was like so cute. She played the Lizzie McGuire song, like hey now, this is what dreams are made of, and everybody was like surrounding me. Like that was like so cute. Core memory. Like yeah, there was like a lot of like really, really, really great memories, and it was a really, really great day. The only negativity I have towards this day is just like the 9 months of like torture leading up to it that I carry like within me still. And yeah, just the fact that there were moments that I like very much didn't connect with, you know, at all. What were the entrance songs and exit songs? Glad you asked. Thank you for asking that, actually. So I wanted it had to mean something to us. Zach kept picking songs he liked, and I'm like, no, it has to mean something to us. And I personally really like to use movies, because movie soundtracks like can put you in the place, because you've watched those movies forever. You know exactly like the feeling, you know the story, you know exactly what you're saying to each other. Like I kept saying to Zach, like it has to be like we have to be saying something with these, you know. And so I really liked doing movie soundtracks. So Zach went down the aisle with his parents to an instrumental version of Your Song, which is from Moulin Rouge, which is an Elton John song. I'm not saying that, but the movie significance to us was Moulin Rouge, which is our favorite movie as a couple together. Like, we love that movie. And then the bridal party came down to an instrumental version of I've Had the Time of My Life, which is my favorite movie, Dirty Dancing. Now I had the time of my, I literally love that song. That was another core memory. I danced with my friend Chris, who's in improv comedy with me, at the wedding to that song, and we did the full out just Dirty Dancing moment, and that was just a core memory. I love that movie, and I also just thought that was a really wonderful sentiment to say to our bridal party as they're walking down, like, I've had the time of my life and I owe it all to you. Like, you are the people in our lives, so I thought that was nice. And then I came down the aisle to Come What May, which is another Moulin Rouge song, which was like, obviously, come what may, I will love you until our dying day. And like, that was, Zach said that in his vows to me, and I said that in my vows to him, and we did not plan it, which was just, so it made sense to come down the aisle to that. And our signing the document song was Maestro from The Holiday. If you play that, I dare you not to cry. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Movie soundtrack, and I love The Holiday, and it's just so cute. And then we exited to the sung version of I've Had the Time of My Life, which is just the best song ever. I'm sorry, like, such a great song. How do you feel post-wedding? I feel mixed up. I feel a little blue. I feel a little down in the dumps, and I feel a little like, just recovering from all that stress, I think, for like 9 months. Immediately after the wedding, I was so happy it was over. I was so happy it was over. So happy. Cannot describe. Every day after the wedding, while my family was still here and Hannah was still here, was amazing. Our honeymoon in Banff was amazing. Like, I was over the moon because I was like, that's over. It went well. I feel great about it. Boom. Excellent. Now I feel blue because now I'm just on I don't even know. So that's how I got to analyze it further. I'm sure I will. But currently I feel blue. I've been feeling blue for a couple days. Mainly because I just don't know what to do with my life. And that was like taking up a lot of brain space. So now I have the brain space back to worry about other things in my life, which is fun. Was there anything I enjoyed planning? I really enjoyed making my handmade pottery for the table. I really enjoyed planning that, like a gift I could give people. I love giving gifts. So like, I really enjoyed planning that. I actually enjoyed planning like a lot of things, which sounds ironic because like, but anytime it didn't have to do with me, I enjoyed planning it because I could just make aesthetic things, which I do enjoy. So for example, like planning the coloring, loved. Like, I'm sorry, the hot pink, the cherry red, and the baby pink is such a slay. You can't tell me it wasn't a slay. That brought me joy the whole time. And so incorporating those colors always brought me joy. The ribbons brought me joy. Planning ribbons. Oh, loved it. Loved so many. All the aesthetic pieces, loved. As long as they weren't expensive. But I always budget cut so that they weren't. How did I prioritize what I wanted without feeling bad for Zach compromising? Great question, but luckily Zach just, like, I'm assuming you're asking this because you're in the process. That's what it's sounding like, because it sounds like you make a lot of compromises with weddings. Zach and I, luckily, were like very much on the same page about honestly everything. And anytime we weren't, he'd be like, I don't know about that budget cut that I had pitched. And I'd be like, let me walk you through it. Take you down logic lane here. And he was always like, oh yeah, okay, great. That sounds good. So just really having like a proper conversation about it so that it at the end of the day wasn't a compromise, because it was just like, oh, you see my side. There was nothing where either of us, like, I think a compromise is only when one person wants one thing and the other person does not. Like elopement versus big wedding, that's okay, someone has to compromise. Everything else though was a quick discussion or like longer discussion, and just, and that was that. So we got kind of lucky with that. There was no one felt like they were like overly compromising after the main thing, because Zach wanted to save money too. And like Zach, like I said, like he wasn't so into the big wedding. He was like, yeah, I think I want to do that. And when it came to the prices of things, he wasn't like overly attached. It wasn't like, oh, but we have to, like, it's not like he was been dreaming of it like his whole life and had a vision of it. So yeah, we didn't have to like have any overly serious conversations about compromise. Can I tell a dress story time? Sure. I only went to one bridal shop. I ended up going to another one later just because like a brand invited me to come try on their dresses, but they were all tight and I'm like, where am I putting my medical equipment? But it was okay because I already had my dress, whatever. But a story time. So yeah, I think I tried on like 11 to 13 dresses in total. I think it was like the 7th or 8th one I tried on though, and I started crying immediately when I put this dress on. And my dad, a funny story is just like when I came out in it, he looked at me and he goes, "Oh, that's it. We're done. That's it." Like, that's it. Like, he was so confident. And to this day, he says, I picked the dress. He says he picked the dress. And he's just having some fun, like, because like he was just in love with it right off the bat. Like, he loved it. A fun story time too, though, is like that dress couldn't be more opposite of what I thought I was going to walk out with that day. I did not want lace. I did not want sparkles. I wanted the most plain dress I could find, but I did want that cut. So like it was like pretty perfect in that sense. I knew I wanted just straight across cut with like spaghetti strap. I just think that's so cute. I don't know why. I just literally love that so much. So other than it being perfect in that sense, an A-line. It was the exact shape I wanted. It's just, it was so lacy and it had like some sparkles on it and had roses on it. And I was like, oh my God, this is just so much more than I thought I was going to pick. But I love that dress. I really love that dress. So it is that whole, like, you put it on and you cry because you know when you know. What did I dread the most? Great question. Probably diabetes. So, okay, serious answer here, but I wonder if you're asking like a more fun version of like my rathood. But like one of the deepest pillars was the diabetes. And I was like really convinced I wasn't going to get this wedding day. I was like weirdly like anxiety convinced, like rational brain knew the day would come and the day would pass, but my anxiety kept kind of telling me that somehow this disease would steal this day from me. And that was like the heaviest burden to carry for 9 months. A funny thing that I dreaded the most, honestly, just people looking at me. I really dreaded people freaking looking at. I didn't want to be looked at. I just really didn't. So like when I had to come down to the cocktail hour and like, you know, obviously people are going to be like, congratulations, you look beautiful. I really dreaded that. Same thing, like, yeah, I just, don't look at me. The aisle, don't look at me. I really did not want to be freaking looked at. Was my favorite part of the day. I think I've maybe kind of answered that through other ways in this whole Q&A, but I'll try to find a new one that doesn't include the morning. So like, let's say it's like actually the wedding. What was my favorite part? Oh, I mean, well, sentimental again. One of the things, but there was two kind of sentimental things that I also really loved, and that was seeing the faces of my friends and family. Loved that. Like looking down the little dinner table at like Lauren, Colin, Hannah, and Nick. I literally just loved looking at them. Like Hannah was from Scotland and Nick came from Sudbury. It was all my favorite people in one spot. That was unreal. Yeah, that was like a favorite part of the day. All right, that was all your questions. Thank you for asking them. I hope you enjoyed this. I really appreciate you guys listening. It's not going to be wedding forever. Honestly, like I think I'm like the least entertaining when I'm talking about my wedding. I have like really fun plans for this podcast, so I'm really excited to like continue with you guys. I really like talking to you guys. I really love the rat community. I really like you guys. Like, we just get it. I don't know, something cool about it. So anyways, I love you guys so much. I still don't know how to end this. I might have to just go with the rat noise. Like, I don't know. That's kind of horrible. How would you end a podcast? Oh, follow me on Instagram. Follow me on YouTube. Subscribe. I'm on TikTok as well. Subscribe to the podcast. Leave a rating and review for the podcast. That actually does really help me in the charts. Yeah, I don't know how to end these yet. But yeah, go help me out on all those things if you got it to this far. So I love you. I don't want to say I love you. Everybody says I love you. We obviously don't love each other. I love the idea of you, but I don't know you. Oh my God, I just thought of something so stupid how I could end it. I could just be like, rats, that's the end of the episode. Oh, I'm keeping that. Someone remind me if I forget. Rats, that's the end of the episode. Bye.